Hello, my astrological book lovers. It is me, Danyell Carmelita, your favorite tarot reader and astrologer. Welcome to another episode of Zodiac Reads, Books Aligned with the Stars. If you've been following this series, we are connecting books with the energy of astrological zodiac signs. So whether you're into books alone, this video is for you, or if you're really into astrology, you can learn some things here. And if you're into both, well, welcome to your world. Don't forget to subscribe, to like and comment, because it shows me that you really like this content and I am not alone. Now, speaking of astrological signs, now we are currently talking about Gemini. I'm thinking this is the second episode. Me personally, I have a Venus in Gemini and a Mars in Gemini. So I love a lot of things dealing with Gemini energy, masculine and feminine, and that is that duality of Gemini anyway. But we're staying in a Gemini's world, and we're moving on from the writers and the journalists because that's what we discussed in the last video. And now we're exploring something a little bit close to home. And that is our siblings. So first, let me just explain the astrological sign first, and then we'll get into the books. Gemini is known to be the twin. Also, Gemini resonate with the third house, if you know anything about the astrological houses. And that's all about siblings, twins, and the connections we share in our daily world. So today, I am sharing some books that deal with siblings so we can understand that Gemini twin or sibling energy a little bit better. We're talking about the bonds of siblings, the bonds of twins. And we're going to be able to get in their head or get in their environment and really know what's the story behind this close bond. Gemini is the symbol of twins. When you constantly see Gemini, I'm sure a lot of us think twins. It's also a duality. It's also like the flip-flop sign, but it really means also a close bond, a connection. It's how we reflect, learn, and grow through the people who are closest to us, especially those who know us the best and share the same stories as us. So that's why we are choosing books and focusing on this Gemini energy with twins, siblings, and this intense layered relationship that Gemini energy just loves. A lot of times Gemini is very youthful and playful, so we may see a lot of young sibling energy. Also, too, what I learned from studying tarot and astrology is that Gemini energy is a strong communicative sign, right? And because you are dealing with siblings, there is a lot of non-communicative energy because you grew up together. You grew up in the same environment. You grew up with the same parents for the most part. And so there is this intuitive energy of communicating non-verbally. So we may be seeing a lot of that within the reading. And Gemini rules over communication. So of course, we are going to get a lot of communication with these siblings, I'm sure. Now, if you didn't know me personally, I am a twin. I have a twin brother. So no, we are not identical twins. And no, if he touches me or if you hurt him, I don't feel it. So there is that. But is there a non-communicative communication between us? You know what? I've never even thought about it. And now that I'm doing this video, it does make me think, and I'm going to ask him and see what he thinks. I do know that we do the same thing at the same time. For example, if I'm doing this video now, I bet you he's doing something that's either tech-wise or something that's dealing with a form of communication for sure. That I am very aware of. But the whole non-communicative thing is very interesting. And I do know I have that with close friends or friends that I grew up with since childhood. So I can definitely see that being possible with your siblings. And I'm very intrigued to even get more into these sibling books. So let's dive in and see how these books capture that Gemini playful, exciting energy. Okay, so before we even start with the siblings and the twins, I want to give one honorable mention book for this Gemini energy. And it is about, Gemini is also about your community and your neighborhood and your day-to-day travel. And a book that I thought was very perfect for this is The Neighbor Favor, and it is by Christina Forrest, and it is a romance book. I think it's contemporary, and I think she falls in love with her neighbor. I'm definitely going to read this under this Gemini sun and see how this goes, but I hear a lot about that book, so I want to throw that in there. But it is about your community and your neighbors, for sure. So now let's get into the sibling books, shall we? The first book I want to mention is by Sally Rooney, and it is called Intermezzo. And I'm currently reading this now. I'm about 50% in. Yeah, at first, the way the writing was, he doesn't write, when he writes, it's almost like a narrative the whole time. There isn't any quotes in this book. It's very interesting, his writing style. I thought I read a book by him before, but maybe I didn't, because this is interesting how he's writing, or maybe he just is writing this book differently. Anyway, it's about two brothers and their father died, and it is about their complicated relationship. One is 22, another one I think is 36 or 33. He's older. Their relationship is quite interesting, but it's definitely dealing with the sibling dynamic. One brother is somewhat, I want to say, is he's not autistic, but he leans in that direction. Even though I don't know much about autism, he's definitely giving us some strong Aquarius vibes, okay? Very out of the box, could be a little awkward and very intelligent. And the other brother is more like the handsome guy, and he's really in love with his ex who had an accident. So for some reason, they cannot be together due to this handicap she has. So he has another girlfriend who is younger. So one brother is dating an older girl, another brother is dating a younger girl. Very interesting. Yeah, and we can see both of their perspectives, but the way the author writes this book is that it is a narrator. We're not having quotes. We're not like fully enmeshed in the scene, even though we are. It's very interesting. Yeah, but I'll let you know furthermore what I think about this book. So far, you know, it was a slow beginning, and Gemini season wants to move very fast, but I'm actually liking it the more we get into it, because they're connecting. The brothers are connecting. At first they were separate, but now we're getting involved, and it's very interesting. The girls are so psychologically aware, except for the mother. Anyway, so far I like it. Another book that I have read is called The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This book is so good. It's about two siblings. I think they're twins. I'm not sure. I don't remember if they're twins, but they're definitely siblings. Twins. It says that they're twins. Twins, inseparable as childhood, ultimately choose to live in two separate, very different worlds, one black and one white. And one goes off as passing, and one goes off as just living in a very black world. I thought the way this was written, it was intriguing. You know, I have seen the movie Imitation of Life. It just reminded me of that. However, it's still written differently, and I enjoyed this book thoroughly, and I definitely rated this book a 5 stars out of 5, and will recommend this. This is a great book for like a book club meeting. Yeah, love this book. Definitely about twins and how they grew up together and decided to have separate lives. And I'm sure, from what I remember, I'm sure the one who's passing as white does not want anyone to know about her black side. Yeah, has some Cancer energy, because you are talking about ancestry as well. This book I have owned for a very long time, and I started to read it and I DNF'd it. Not because I didn't like it, because I was probably on to something else or distracted in some way. And it's called My Sister, the Serial Killer. And it's about one sister, I guess, killing everyone. And then I guess she is supposed to kill her sister's boyfriend and doesn't do it. Ayula is many things: the favorite child, the beautiful one, possibly sociopathic. And now Ayula's third boyfriend in a row is dead, stabbed through the heart with Ayula's knife. And Caridi, I can't say their name, practically is the sister's saving grace. She knows the best solution for cleaning blood: bleach, 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 and more bleach. The best way to move a body, wrap it in sheets like a mummy. I stopped at page 13. So I couldn't tell you if this was a good book or not. I just started and just stopped reading it. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure it's because I had to do some other work. Love the cover here with the head wrap. So I couldn't rate that book, but hopefully I can read that book during Gemini season. And when I do the wrap up, we can discuss my rating. Now, another book I have, and I purchased this a long time ago, never read it, and it's called Homecoming. And you know, sometimes I go in a bookstore and I just really judge a book by its cover, and I did judge the book by this cover. And it's Ghana, 18th century. Two half-sisters are born into different villages, each unaware of each other. One will marry an Englishman and lead a life of comfort and partial rooms of Cape Coast Castle. The other will be captured in a raid on her village, imprisoned in the very same castle, and held into slavery. This will be very interesting to read. I do know that my book club did read this, and I was wasn't able to make that meeting, and they did not like it. They said it was too many characters or too many names, and it had a low rating. But I'm still interested in reading it, and it is about two siblings, but of course, this is a different dynamic because in Intermezzo, they definitely knew each other, and in Banishing Act, they definitely knew each other. In this one, they don't know each other, so this will be an interesting bond to read about. Now we have one that is definitely about twins. It's called The Identicals, and it is by Ellen Hildebrand. Identical twin sisters who couldn't look more alike or live more differently. Harper Frost is a laid-back, easygoing. She doesn't care what anyone thinks of her. She likes a beer and a shot and wouldn't be caught dead wearing anything fashionable. Wait a minute, is this new? There's a series on Netflix, and I wonder if it's about this. Two beautiful islands, only 11 miles apart. Tabitha Frost is dignified, refined. Oh no, I think they do like that swin swap. So one is refined and one is kind of like rough. Something happens within the family, and so then they decide to swap. It seems like a lot of people, I've never read anything by this author, so I'm really curious to read something by her. Yeah, I hear that her books are really good to read in the summer too. And she writes a lot about Nantucket, right? From what I understand. Anyway, but this is a twin book. I don't know anything about it other than that it's called The Identicals. And I got it from the library. Wait, The Identicals is a perfect fit for a book suggested with twins and siblings. Central premise is identical twins. The core of the story is their estranged relationship, which has lasted for over a decade despite living on an island, Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, just 11 miles away from each other. A family crisis forces them to reconnect. Now, in Malibu Rising, the entire novel revolves around 4 river siblings. So the last sibling book that I have is Malibu Rising. I keep saying I want to read this. And if you haven't seen, I think it was in the last video when I was talking about Taurus. Not the last video, but it was in the last few videos when I was talking about Taurus and money, because they have money and they live in Malibu, of course. But it is about siblings and them throwing parties and a rich lifestyle. This one is not necessarily twin related, but it is about a family. Let me see. So the entire novel revolves around 4 Riva siblings, Nina, Jay, Hud, and Kit. Their relationships, their shared history, their individual struggles, and their fierce loyalty to one another are the absolute heart of the story. The story we tell about our families, about ourselves, and about our past. Another book that I read is called The Virginia Suicides. I read this book. I donated it to my local library, but it's about 5 Lisbon sisters, Cecilia, Lux, Bonnie, Mary, and Therese, and they're very attractive, and the neighborhood, which is very Gemini energy, the boys in the neighborhood are just obsessed with them because they're somewhat kind of secretive and they have a tragic life. Suicide is involved in this book. The collective identity as a group of sisters is paramount to the narrative. There's trauma, there's secrecy, and there's a strong family unit. I read this book. It is a very depressing book, so if that's the kind of book you're not into, I wouldn't suggest it, but I really like Jeffrey Eugenides. I don't know if that's how you say his name. I liked a few other books he wrote. I really wanted to read this one. It was okay. Depressing, but very much about siblings. Here's another book that's really popular. It's called Blue Sisters. It's by Coco Mozels. I actually have this on my Kindle from the library. This novel follows 3 estranged sisters who return to their childhood home in New York after a family tragedy. It's a powerful exploration of grief, secrets, and unbreakable, through sometimes fraught bonds of sisterhood. This is a very popular book, so I'm really intrigued about this one. So I might be reading that one. So that is what we have for the sibling Gemini aspect books. Let me know if you're interested in reading any of these books. If you read any of these books, let me know. I'm for sure want to read Malibu Rising, and I for sure want to read Blue Sisters because it's on every TBR. So I'm just curious and nosy. Anyway, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe if you're into the other astrological signs, because I will be doing all of them. Next part of Gemini I want to do is the different perspectives, because Gemini is about different perspectives, multiple perspectives, and Gemini is a multitasker. And Gemini also will be corresponding via email and text messages. So those kind of books, let me know if you have any suggestions for those. Yeah, and that is what we have. I hope you guys enjoyed. Also, I sell an ebook, and you can read the ebook and you can learn how to read your own chart. If you really love astrology, you want to really get deeper into astrology, I recommend that book that I sell. The link link is down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye bye.